Hi, Kipsters. It's Miss Diaz. Today we're going to be working on another math lesson, and I'm really excited for this week because we're going to be working on learning all about shapes. For this lesson, you're going to need your pencil and your paper, and what you will also need is different pieces of paper lengths so you can cut those out, or if you don't have that, you can also use some type of string or yarn, or you can use straws like I will be using. If you don't have any of those materials, that's okay because you can just draw the shapes with me on your paper. So using your pencil or your pen. So make sure that you have some type of materials so that you can also make shapes just like I will. All right, Kipsters, so I have my straws ready to use as my material. So I have these pieces of straws, and then I also have two full-length straws that I'm going to use. And remember, if you don't have either straws that you can use or string or any other type of material, you can just use your pencil or your pen and a paper to draw those shapes out. So right now, I'm going to show you what it looks like to make shapes using these materials. So I think I'm gonna just try to use these two shapes or these two straws that I have. I'm wondering, Kipsters, if I can say that this is a shape. Hmm. I don't think that this is a shape because the shape does not close. So it can be called an open shape, but it's not a closed shape because it has a big opening here. So our job today is to make shapes that are closed so we can describe their attributes and or their characteristics. So if you don't know what the word attribute or characteristics means, it means that we are describing an object, the way that it looks. So when we are making our shapes today, we're going to describe their attributes based on how many sides the shape has and how many sides a shape has and how many corners a shape also has. So be ready with the shapes that we make today to describe the sides and the corners that a shape has. So you can pause the video right now or you can watch me as I try to make different shapes, and we're also going to draw them out. So if you pause the video and you start to make your own shapes, make sure you draw your shapes so you don't forget what you drew. So let's start with the first shape. I think instead of just two pieces, I'm going to use three pieces. All right, let's see. Okay, I'm going to just close the top so it's a closed shape. And now I'm going to put this piece here. I'm wondering, Kipsters, what shape attributes this has. I'm seeing maybe this has three sides and three corners too. Right, I'm gonna go ahead and write that down on my piece of paper so I don't forget that this is the shape that I made. So I can go ahead and make this shape. Great. And now let's see, maybe I can make a different type of shape that looks like that. Okay. Okay, so it looks pretty much the same as my other one, but in the I made it a little bigger. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw my other shape that was a little bigger. All right, let's see if we can make other ones. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take out another piece and do this. Ooh, that looks like a shape. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and draw that out on my paper. It looks like this. All right, let's see if I can make another one. Okay, I'm gonna use my four pieces. Okay, and as I'm making these shapes, I'm already thinking about what their attributes are. So I'm thinking about how many corners and how many sides my shapes have. Right. Let's see if I can make another one and maybe using my big pieces this time. Right, so I'm making a shape and I'm thinking, how can I describe this shape? Right. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this shape out. So I'm going to draw the shape that I saw that I made. So it went like this, and then like that. I made my shape on my paper so that I don't forget that I made that. All right, Kipsters. So right now you can go ahead and you can pause the video so you can make your shapes with your string, or you have maybe straws or your piece of paper, whatever you're using, go ahead and make as many shapes as you can. You should have been able to make lots of different shapes and notice how many sides and how many corners they have. So I went ahead and I just drew out the shapes that I was able to make and put them on 3 separate charts. So I want you to already notice that in the first few shapes that I made, I noticed that they all had 3 sides and 3 corners, just like this. And in the next set of shapes that I was able to make, what do you notice about all of these shapes? Yeah, they have 4 sides. What do they also have 4 of? They have 4 corners. So if we look at this first shape, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. And let's count the corners. 1, 2, 3, 4 square corners. And they're called square corners because the corners look just like squares. But in this shape, it does not have square corners, but it does still have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. I wonder if we were able to make other shapes. Because I remember as I was drawing them, I didn't just have shapes that had 3 sides. I didn't just have shapes that have 4 sides. I found other types of shapes too, which is why I made a third set of drawings for the other shapes that didn't have those 4 sides or those 3 sides. So if we look at the first shape, how many sides do you think it has? We have to count. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has 5 sides. And now let's see how many corners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 corners. As we figure out how many sides and how many corners a shape has, it's also a good idea to go ahead and use your pencil or a pen to mark the sides and mark the corners so you don't count them more than once. So I'm going to go ahead and show that with this shape to prove how many sides it has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has 5 sides, and now let's count the corners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has 5 corners. So that way you don't forget how many sides and how many corners your shape has. Now looking at this shape, this one's tricky. I don't know how many sides and corners it has. What do you think? Yeah, I think it doesn't have any corners and it doesn't have any sides. It's a very special shape that just doesn't have any corners or any sides and is round like this. All right, now moving on to our next part. For this next part, you're going to need your piece of paper and your pen to do this next part. So I'm going to go ahead and go to our next page. So give me 1 second. So for this one, what I want you to do, since you don't have the paper right in front of you, you can draw the shapes at the top right here and just label them with how many corners and how many sides they have. So by labeling, it means you can just jot down on your shape how many sides and how many corners they have. So go ahead and pause the video, then come back to check your work. Right, Kipsters, you should have paused the video and now check your work with my work. So this first shape, it has 3 corners and it has 3 sides. This next one, check your work. It has 4 corners and 4 sides. The sides are right here. And now this next one, remember, this one has 0 corners, no corners, and 0 straight sides. Now let's do number 2. Which attributes or characteristics are the same for all the shapes in group A? Which attributes are the same for all of these shapes? So what do you notice about these shapes, Kipsters? Yeah, I noticed that they all have the same number of sides. How many sides do all of these shapes have? They have 4 sides. And now, what other thing or attribute is the same about these shapes? They have the same number of corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. They all have 4 corners. So again, they all have 4 sides and they all have 4 corners. So even though some of them are really small, some of them are really big, they have the same attributes because they have the same number of sides and the same number of corners. All right, let's move on to our next page. And remember, as we're moving on to the next page, keep thinking about what that word attributes means. So let's go to this page where it says draw that shape. Now that you know so much more about the word attributes, you're going to go ahead and make shapes that have different attributes, starting with the first one, where it says draw a shape with 4 straight corners and 4 sides. So you would draw a shape that has 4 sides and 4 corners, however you want it to look. But make sure it matches the attributes that it tells you in each box. And then to show your teacher that you're becoming an expert on shapes, send this exit ticket work to them so they can be super amazed and impressed by all that you know about shapes and their attributes. See you later, Kipsters.